Checking in with us now, direct from Atlanta, Georgia, for SEC Media Days. It is the host of Sports Talk Mississippi, Richard Cross. Richard, what's going on today?
Gerard, I got this weird lighting thing. I feel like Casper the Friendly Ghost talking to you. I got the backlight as we are inside the College Football Hall of Fame, and below me is kind of the main floor. Clark Lee, the Vanderbilt head coach, spoke a little while ago. 2,430 words. Somebody tweeted that the SEC only had 10 members when he started his address to the media. Now we're up to, trending towards 16. Nick Saban obviously garnered a little more attention this morning. And, of course, this afternoon, Mississippi State's Mike Leach and 3 Bulldog players in South Carolina on the docket as well. This is fun as we get closer. I mean, it's 7 weeks from this past Saturday to the start of the college football season. Incredible. Anything notable from Coach Lane Kiffin yesterday? He kind of played the hits a little bit. He continued to talk about NIL. The difference in Lane and some people, though, is he will say what other people feel like they need to tiptoe around or dance around, and he'll be very direct. I mean, he said yesterday, when NIL, name, image, and likeness, paying players first became a thing, he said, I very clearly said people with the most money are going to have the best players. And that has kind of proven to be true. And I don't know that it's any kind of a shift in terms of his football team. I think he likes where they're headed, but there's a lot of unknown. And I would have to believe that if you are the head coach of a football team and you don't know exactly what your team is going to look like, you're not sure exactly how they're going to perform under the lights, that maybe gives you a little cause for nervousness. He doesn't show much of that on the outside. Purely from a football standpoint, I think that's why Ole Miss's schedule, setting up the way that it does, is so big for this team because they've got 4 straight non-conference games. They're not non-conference games that you're scared to death of. I mean, they're not even playing a Louisville from the ACC like they did a year ago. Yeah. Ole Miss trying to figure out the quarterback thing. A couple of new faces on the offensive line are moving guys around a little bit. Some new receivers coming in. There's a lot of new, but there's also a lot of talent. Yeah. What are you expecting out of Coach Mike Leach today? Aliens, Bigfoot. Haydad and I, he's sitting next to me. You can't see him right now. Brian. So he's going to slide in. He's creeping in. There we go. Hey, get off of me. Jeez. I've never been around somebody that spreads out so much. They sit down in a chair, and Haydad's like, I'm just going to take up 4 seats. It's just kind of how he rolls when we do this. So Haydad and I have this ongoing thing. When we get a chance to visit with Mike Leach, Brian Haydad wants to know about the third-string left guard. I mean, it's like, hey, man, tell me about this off-season conditioning program. How you feeling about depth on the nickelback position? And I'm like, man, tell me about Ernest Hemingway in Cuba. Because we've gone down that road, and it's like he has opinions on everything. And it's not like just, throw it at the wall and see what sticks. I mean, it's well-thought-out, strong opinions. Mike Leach is absolutely a treasure in college football. I'm going to be honest. Because of the infatuation with Pirates and travel and Bigfoot, I think we overlook some of his genius as a football coach. He is a brilliant mind offensively. People love to go, well, there aren't that many plays. And he'll tell you that, right? He likes to slow play we don't have that many plays. We just do different formations and move things around. Man, that deal is a science, and they drill it over and over and over, and it's because of the repetition. And in some ways because of the simplicity of what they're trying to do that they're good. He's got good players. He's got good quarterbacks. There's a chance that Will Rogers, when it's all said and done, if he stays healthy and plays another couple of years, there's a good chance he's going to be the all-time leading passer in college football history when he's done. Wow. So I think it's fair to say with respect to Coach Leach, the old adage, imitation and flattery, and it's the ultimate form of it. Yeah, he's been imitated quite a bit. I mean, a lot of this was his brainchild, right? The sort of present structure of offense today, systems. Yeah, he and Hal Mumme together, kind of the fathers of the air raid, and they workshopped it at some small schools in Oklahoma? Is that right? And then Hal Mumme got the head coaching job at Kentucky, and Mike Leach was his offensive coordinator. And then Mike Leach goes to Oklahoma, and he's an offensive coordinator there before he gets his first opportunity to be, major Division I head coach at Texas Tech. And it takes a couple of years, and then they get really good, and they, rise to the number 1 in the country at one point, and then kind of an unceremonious ending there. You get a lawyer that's really smart and a football coach who's got a little bit of ego, and all of a sudden your employer doesn't want to pay you what they owe you, and you're ready to move on as well. And he still talks about sovereign immunity and what Texas Tech owes him, which is a fascinating side story. Out of coaching for a couple of years, right? I mean, he famously has the place in Key West. He loves it. He wrote a book. He did some radio. He did some TV. But it's one of those things where you get that itch and you got to scratch it. And so he had the opportunity at Washington State, and then John Cohen goes and picks him to be the next coach at Mississippi State. And I think for a guy like Mike Leach, he probably wanted to take what he has done as his life's work and say, let me try this against the best that there is. And clearly the SEC is the best that there is. And the blueprint at the previous stops has been it's a little bit of a slow build. You have to kind of build to the level of success that he's had previously. And this is year 3. So, what's that going to look like this season? He's got a quarterback in place, got a lot of returning guys. I'm a little concerned about their depth on the offensive line. Maybe even the starting 5 on the offensive line. But there are a lot of pieces there and a lot of reason, I think, for Mississippi State fans to be excited. Yeah.
All right, so what's besides NIL, which seems to just be dominating the discussion in college sports and college athletics, what else are they talking about over there? Expansion of the conference is another big hot topic?
Yeah, conference realignment is it. And, Greg Sankey said yesterday, and by the way, the commissioner is going to be on with us this afternoon. We'll talk with Mike Leach and the players from Mississippi State, Greg Sankey, and then a bunch of other guests will be on Sports Talk starting just after 3 o'clock this afternoon, which 3 o'clock Central Time. I'm ready to get back into God's time zone. I'm tired of having to put ET on the end of everything just so I know what time zone I'm in. But yeah, that's the topic. And Greg Sankey said yesterday that, look, he's like, we're going to be and I'm paraphrasing, we're going to be prudent. We're not in a rush. We don't have to hurry to do this. But that's what every athletic administrator in the country is thinking about right now. Where's everybody going to land? When the music stops, who's going to have a chair? What's going to be the geographic setup? Will the SEC stay contiguous where all the states touch each other, then the footprint is the same? Here's a little nugget for you, and the folks from the SEC office have liked kind of rolling this out. The longest trip in the SEC is Columbia, South Carolina to Austin, Texas. That's once Texas and Oklahoma come in.
Yeah.
That's the longest trip in the SEC. You look at the 2 new members in the Pac-12, USC and UCLA coming in. That is shorter than whatever their shortest trip will be when they go across the country in the Big Ten.
Yeah. That's an all-day sort of affair to get from Southern California out to the East Coast. It just seems kind of crazy to me.
Yeah, west to east is really tough.
Yeah, very much so. Totally agree. So, especially when you lose time going that way. All right, well, so they're talking about this. Here's a question for you, though, Richard. Are there NCAA representatives present at this event?
They weren't invited.
Okay,
they weren't invited.
That's what I want to know. That's what I want to know. Yeah, it's and is that obviously intentional? No, seriously. I know you're laughing about it. Are they there? Are they observing? Are they engaging? Are they scheduled to speak? Or is this just a conference event?
No, this is a conference event only. The NCAA operates from its ivory tower where they've got all the answers, and they just kind of try to rain their wisdom down from on high. The NCAA is obsolete and borderline on the verge of extinction. They have been, we are witnessing them being stripped of their power in real time, and I think that's a good thing. I think it's an antiquated model. Greg Sankey used a lot of words yesterday. And one of the things that I'm going to ask him when we talk this afternoon, and I'm going to be fascinated, because he was the chair of the Committee on Infractions, and he talked yesterday about what an antiquated model with a rule book that's too thick and regulations that don't make sense for anybody. And I'm going to ask him, when did you realize that? Did you realize in real time when you were working hand in hand with the NCAA that it wasn't working, or did it take, was it one of those deals where you're actually too close and it took kind of being separate and taking a different view and a different vantage point of it to realize how bad a model it was? Yeah, because I got to believe he didn't just wake up yesterday and figure that out. I mean, we've I think all known about this for quite some time. Richard,
Great job. Good luck to you guys. Looking forward to hearing more about what's going on at SEC Media Days. You can catch it on Sports Talk Mississippi. That's 3 o'clock Central Time, right?
3 o'clock Central Time. 3:06 first pitch for Sports Talk Mississippi.
You got
Gerard, thanks, man. Golf course soon. Let's do it.
Yeah, man. We'll be right back in the Element Wealth Studios on middays. Stay with us.